Hello, I'm the host of Wild Podcast. My name is Darshawn McAway. If you typically listen to this podcast on audio-only platforms, well, rest assured, there's a link in the description that takes you to the video format of this podcast interview. Now, let's get on with our special guest. Let's get right into it. Listen, a lot of times what gives me the accreditation, if you will, and the representation. Hello, I'm the host of Wild Podcast. My name is Darshawn. And it's going down like this.
Big Red helps me around the house. My dream car happens to be a 1300. What's yours?
Anything else you got to say? Any words of maybe encouragement or words of hope? Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. You're tuned in to wowpodcast.me. That's WOWPODCAST.me. Today we have a special guest. We have Miss Kim Lengling. How you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So we're here to talk about your book. But I see is it a complete series or is it one individual book?
I have one that's coming out very shortly.
Okay.
And that is called Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor.
Okay.
And I have another one coming out in November towards the end of the year called Nuggets of Hope.
Nuggets of Hope. Okay, got you. So Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor. What is that book about?
That's actually an anthology of folks' stories of their rescue pets that they have or have had in their life and how those pets have changed their life for the better. How those pets have helped folks through and over really hard times. Maybe it's the loss of a spouse or a child or a job, or they live with PTSD, such as that. How pets enrich our lives and how they give so much love to you unconditionally, and how that helps us mentally and physically in the long run. So there's 20 stories from 20 different people in there sharing their things. They're beautiful. They're beautiful fur babies.
Right. So as I was reading through your bio, I see that you have experienced PTSD. I have a question about that. When most people experience that, is your life like a walking trigger mechanism? Like does everything trigger you or certain things trigger you?
Everything does not trigger, but there are certain things that trigger. So for me, I experienced my trauma in the military.
Okay.
So for me, there are certain smells that might trigger me. It's kind of hard to explain sometimes, because sometimes I might just be in the grocery store.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I just get this incredible feeling of, holy crap, I have to protect myself. And it's that whole fight, flight, or freeze thing that happens, and my brain just automatically goes, fight, and my whole body just tenses up, even though I'm in a safe space.
Okay.
So it depends also on my mindset. So maybe I didn't sleep well the night before and I might be overly tired.
Right.
Certain things can just get me, and it feels like it creeps up on you, but it's not. It's because I hadn't slept very well, or I hadn't been feeling well, physically feeling well. Maybe I had been ill for a few days with the flu or what have you. If I'm down slightly below, like normal,
right,
like my normal activity level, mental, physical, and all of that, I seem to be more open to triggers. And I've found that over the years that seems to be the case for me.
Okay.
But I've also been able to build up a toolbox. So when I can feel something coming up, and that's how I always describe it. It's either coming up or it's coming in.
Right.
That's how I always do it. I've built up tools in my toolbox that I can pull out and just say, all right, Kim, refocus.
So what made you join the military?
I went in right out of high school and a single parent home. And I really didn't have any other options. And to me, I just said, I don't want to go to college, and college is not for everybody, just like the military is not for everybody.
Right.
But I really had no interest in going to college, and I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up, So I just thought, I'm going to go in the military. So that's what I did. There was no big reason. It just, that was, "No, I think I'm going to do the military." Now, my sister, I have a sister, she went to college. So it's depend. There was really no main reason why. I just said, well, that's what I'm going to do. So I did it.
Any regrets in your life at all?
No,
No. I
no.
know. I know. For me, as I was coming up, I've been asked that question a couple times, and I think the only thing that I would regret, so to speak, is not taking enough opportunities to really just go for the gusto. You know.
Yeah. But I don't know. For me, I don't know if I'd call it regret. I think maybe it's because I just didn't realize what may have been in front of me at the time.
Hmm.
Now, looking back, you can be like, oh, that was a door I probably should have walked through. But
Right.
again, no. Standing where I'm standing now, I don't, I couldn't be doing anything that I'm doing now unless I had walked the path that I have walked the last several decades,
Right. Right.
So
Right.
regrets, no. At times you wish certain things wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
the tough stuff, I mean, and I'm talking tough, the kind that kicks you in the butt and knocks you on your butt,
Hmm.
where you find yourself on your knees, thinking, what am I going to do?
Right.
What am I going to do? Uh, that stuff is what builds character and makes you stronger.
Hmm.
Doesn't feel like it at the time. Oh, geez. And a lot of times, stuff that I've been through, I don't know what your background or your life has been like, but I would never wish some of the things I've been through. I would never wish that on anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But looking back, I can see how it shaped me and how I view the world and view people.
Right.
And it's also shaped me in how I want to be a light. I don't want to bring darkness
Right.
with me. I
Right.
want to be a light to those people that are sitting in darkness, that are sitting in that spot that I was sitting in on my knees,
Yeah.
crying out to a God I had told myself for years I didn't believe in,
Right.
so
So
that's what I'm doing now. I want to be a light, dang it.
right. So speaking of being a light, you have a podcast called Let Fear Bounce. Tell me, why did you start it and what is it about?
Let fear bounce. Well, it's about just that. I have
Hmm.
guests on from all over the world that talk about fears that they've lived through, maybe they're going through right now, that they've overcome, and how fear does not have to hold you back or keep you down. It can be a stepping stone. Some fear is healthy, and there's so many different kinds of fears: fear of failure, fear of public speaking, so many different kinds of fears, fear of being in crowded places, you know many different kinds of fears, fear of heights, whatever it is that it may be. Everyone has or has experienced or will experience some fear at some point.
Right.
It's all in how you, I think, face it and recognize it for what it is, and just tell yourself, you know what, you got this, you've
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah, this is going to be hard. Holy cow. So maybe you've got a really tough medical diagnosis,
Right.
and you're just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And you've got to dig deep sometimes and shovel. You got to break out the shovel sometimes and shovel that fear, that sludge out of the way.
Yeah.
And just, for me, and this is me, my own personal opinion and how I always word it, I just pull up my big girl panties and just keep on keeping on, because that's the only choice I see.
Hmm.
You keep moving forward. Don't get stuck. Don't let yourself be held back. You've got to keep moving forward, because as long as you're breathing, there's a reason you're here.
Hmm. So speaking of the reason of being here, you either do you help people do nonprofits or you founded nonprofits?
I did found a nonprofit with a friend of mine called Embracing Our Veterans. I'm a
Okay.
big veteran advocate and have been for well over 25 years,
Okay.
in particular, helping those that live with PTSD. And some folks really, really struggle with that. I mean, I live with it, and I'm very thankful that I didn't go the route some folks may have because they just didn't see another way out. So my friend of mine and I, probably close to 10, 11 years now, we did found a nonprofit called Embracing Our Veterans. And that helps veterans that are homeless or soon to be homeless. We help get them the items that they need once they are able to acquire housing.
Okay.
And that's all done by donations. And I'm also co-chair of Project Support Our Troops, where that's with my veteran post where I live in my local town, where we send care packages each and every month of the year. And we are now in our 24th year of doing that. We send it to servicemen that are men and women that are currently deployed around the world.
Gotcha. So, can I ask you a question about when the veterans become homeless? What's the founding conclusion of why they end up falling off from, I guess, financial progression?
There's a lot of reasons. There's many reasons. Sometimes it might be divorce.
Okay.
Sometimes it could be their symptoms of PTSD, and maybe they have been trying to self-medicate with alcohol or drugs. Maybe they lost their job because they can't work in the environment that they're in. Maybe it's a manufacturing company and the lights and the noises are too loud, and they can't do that 8 hours a day.
Right.
A lot of times I think veterans with PTSD are looked at in a little bit of a negative light, and that's really not the case at all. It should not. People should not look at folks that way. The way I see it is you're living with PTSD and you're living with it each and every day. You have good days, you have bad days. Sometimes you have really, really bad days. But you're a warrior and you are fighting battles that people don't see and can't see because they're internal battles. You're fighting them every single day. Every single day. You know how tiring that is.
Right.
But you're still fighting them. And that means you're still living and you're still here. There's a reason for that. And that's why I always say, keep fighting, keep fighting. There was years ago, a mother had reached out to me. Her son, severe PTSD, had turned to alcohol and drugs to self-medicate. He was living out in the woods in a tent. He couldn't be around people. He had totally isolated himself, and she was so worried. And for about 3 months, we tried. Oh gosh, we worked so hard to try and get him the direction that he needed to be healthy and live a decent life. And his mom we tried many things as much as we were able, but in the long run, it's down to the individual. And then I received a call from this woman that her son, he had taken his own life. And it's those ones. Gosh. That's why I'm an advocate for veterans.
Right.
Let's just do that so I don't sit here and bawl like a baby the whole time. Now, it's hard when you lose one because you feel, I know I felt like I failed. And so many people were like, Kim, there's no way you and your crew failed. You did everything you could. And unfortunately, you can't save them all. And that's really hard sometimes. But that's why I'm an advocate for those folks. I don't want somebody living out in the woods in a tent feeling that the only thing that they can do to survive is drink or do drugs.
Right.
I don't want that for anybody.
Right. Well, Kim, I mean, I didn't mean for it to be emotional, but I do understand how it happens. I definitely understand how it happens. And I'm definitely proud of you of writing the books that you have written, Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor and Nuggets of Hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking to author Kim Lengling. Is there any inspirational words you want to leave with the audience before we depart?
There's a reason that you're here. There is a reason that you're on this planet. You have a purpose. You have a purpose. Please don't forget that. No matter what you're going through, you're amazing. You're an amazing individual, and you're here, and you're made. I'm a Christian, so you were made for a very specific reason, for a purpose. And the world is a better place because you're in it. No matter what someone else might tell you, no matter what situation you find yourself in, dig deep. You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it.
I like that. Words, inspirational words from Kim Lengling, author and philanthropist, nonprofit founder, everything that you can think of. She's going for the gusto. Kim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all.